Hi, everybody. We're back. I'm Amy. I'm a psychotherapist with 35 years of experience and have had MS for the past 30 of those years. And I'm here with my friend Buck, who I have known since I was in seventh grade. And we're still really
Yeah,
good friends. So here we are. How
seventh
many
grade.
years
We did
later?
a play together. Yeah, a couple of plays
Yeah,
together. Um,
yeah,
I'm
a lot of
Buck.
places.
I have been in therapy since I was in fourth grade under psychiatric care. Um, have been battling depression and anxiety and mania all my life. And very excited that I have an appointment next Monday to see a bipolar specialist. So that will be. I mean, it took a long time, but it's free and it's a good thing. So I'm very excited. I'll get referred to a therapist too, which will be great.
Yay.
So we always start off with what our dysfunctions were. So Amy, what
Yeah.
was your dysfunction of the
Well,
week?
my house is currently under renovation. So it's all ripped to shreds. There's crap everywhere, drywall and floor, whatever. So we just redid our bedroom, and so that's done. But in order to get to the kitchen from the bedroom, you have to go through the room that has all the crap in it. So therefore, I am not in my usual place. I am in Missouri here with my ancestors on the wall behind me. And and when I left, really like kind of spur of the moment. So I was waiting for some meds to get delivered, my MS meds, which is dimethyl fumarate, and it costs like huge exorbitant amount of money because MS meds are notoriously expensive. So I came down, and the meds got delivered to my house in Chicago, and my husband was going to overnight them to me. And when he went to go do that, he was going to UPS, and then he decided at the last minute to go to FedEx. And so this isn't really dysfunctional because this was a positive thing. It could have been a dysfunction, but uh, I was so glad because I wonder if it would have been on the big UPS plane that crashed. And if I wouldn't have gotten them, I would have had to rebuy them. And I'm quite sure that the drug company wouldn't have like said, "Oh, we understand. We'll give it to you for free," because they're just not. And so I was really happy that I didn't end up having to spend that huge amount of money because I think it's something like it's all over the place, but it's something like $7,000 or $8,000 a month for
Right.
that particular med. It always cracks me up when people go, "Oh, it's so expensive. It was like $140 a month," and I go, "Oh, please."
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's my possibly could have been a dysfunction that fortunately was not. So you go.
Well,
What was
now,
your? What?
well, I have a dysfunction related to that in that um, here in Quebec, I don't know about the other provinces. If uh, if a company has six or more employees, then or more than six employees, they have to have an additional private insurer. So I'm separated from my husband, but I live here. So they put me back. They put me back on his insurance, which I don't like because for provincial insurance, you pay basically 100 a month for medication, and the rest of it
Yeah.
is free, right? So it works out to
Yeah.
100 a month. With private, you have a deductible. So, like, I went to get my HIV meds, and they were like, "Okay, that's $300." And I was like, "I don't have $300 right now." So I still
Yeah.
have medication, so it's okay. So I was like, "I don't have $300 right now. I'm not paying that because you have a deductible. And the deductible is
Right.
like, I don't know, $400 every 6 months, something like that. I mean, it works out to be actually better in the end, but like being able to afford $100 a month as opposed to getting all your medication and being at $400, that's,
Right.
it's a big chunk of change.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know why they do the private insurance. I don't know. And it's Manulife. And I just don't see any place for it here. You get
Yeah.
benefit, like if you go to a
Right.
hospital, you can get a private room and you can do all this other stuff. They did pay for some medication that would have been very, very expensive, and it wouldn't have been in the provincials' uh,
Right.
purview to uh, pay for that medication. It was kind of like a new medication for something. So
Hmm.
they paid for that, and the amount was $60,000. So
Yeah, that sounds about
very,
right for
very intense medication. So,
yeah,
so
yeah,
today I thought we'd talk about OCD, which I have, and I've had
yeah,
it since I was a little kid. And so I thought we'd discuss that today. If you don't know what that is, that's obsessive compulsive disorder. It's a real thing.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
happened early on. So
Yeah.
when I was about fourth grade, I grew up I grew up in Missouri, and I went to a Catholic school with Irish nuns that were always making you feel guilty and bad about things, and
Mhm.
saying things like, if you don't get what you want when you pray, it means that uh, you're not, you don't have real faith. And it's like it was all this really messed up stuff that they would do,
Yeah.
and so I started being the kid who had to turn the light switch on and off like so many times. And because I was
Hmm.
raised Catholic, it had to be seven, could never be six.
Okay.
And if I lost count,
You
then
have to start over.
I had to start over. And then I'd have
Right.
to touch the wall. And then I'd have to pray every night for like an hour, to the point where just fell asleep praying, kneeling on my bed. I would just kind of fall over, you know,
Sure.
and
Because
you
you're
had to say,
exhausted.
I had to say so many Hail Marys, I had to say seven Hail Marys, seven Our Fathers, seven another one, seven another one, and then do it all over again,
Oh
and
man.
yeah. So, and then what started happening was, um, oh, and like crazy. I mean, I was a little kid, and I had all these little stuffed animals, stuff like that,
Hmm.
little tiger, a little bunny. I had a
Yeah.
kangaroo. Um, I think it was a
You had
penguin.
all of you
Yeah.
had Winnie the
Well,
Pooh.
they had to lay. Yeah, Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
I had to lay them all on the pillow, so their head was on the pillow. So I got like this much of the pillow, and I would fall.
Right.
Excuse me, I would
Yeah.
fall out of bed. I fell out of bed. My
Because
mother
you had no room because your animals had to take up all the room.
Absolutely. Yeah, everything had to be, and like things had to be symmetrical and even,
Hmm.
and and it just became this thing where I started having these visions of bad things happening to people
Yeah.
that I cared about, people that I loved. And I would see like one was this horrible car accident in my head of,
Yeah.
my niece dying. And it was
Mm.
it was it was so horrifying that eventually I couldn't hold it in, and these visions kept coming,
Yeah.
because I had to make it right. I had to fix it, or these terrible things were going to happen, terrible things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was in the shower once, and they were getting really bad, and I had this really horrible vision, and I started screaming, which I didn't realize that I was screaming, and
Yeah.
uh, I passed out. I passed out.
Wow.
So then my mother was like, "Well, I don't know what to do," and she took me to the doctor, and he said, "There's a psychiatrist in." We grew up in Jeff City, so at that time there was no psychiatrist, so
Yeah.
probably not even therapist. So I
Yeah.
had to go to Columbia, to MU, Missouri
Right.
University, to go to their medical facility. So
Right.
um, my father was like, nobody in our family ever goes to psychiatrist. Nobody ever, but my father had crazy good insurance.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So,
good.
yeah, really crazy. He worked there like 25 years, and he
Yeah.
had really good insurance. So I went to a psychiatrist who gave me all this medication, which made me, the teachers were told that I could sleep in class, that I would just fall
Wow.
asleep. I would just
Yeah.
fall asleep because,
Because
uh,
they made you tired.
well, also a side effect was my stomach was always hurting.
Mm.
Like when I was a kid, my stomach
Yeah.
hurt all the time. And so there were relaxers for the stomach, because it was
Yeah.
actually, I saw a video in like eighth grade in the hospital, a video a
Mm.
video x-ray, and you could see it moving. It was just like
Oh.
closing in on stuff. It was really bad.
Yeah. That's
So
bad.
I remember the doctor said, because I guess it's a sonogram. I guess it was a sonogram. And
Okay.
he said, see that? That's not supposed to do that. It's
Okay.
not supposed to
Yeah.
move like that. So, Anyway, he was a good psychiatrist, and
Good.
he told me a few good things, advice. One was don't feed the beast.
Yeah, I
So
like that.
when you feel this compulsion to make everything even and everything this certain way and stuff like, just don't do it. Just try to
Don't do it.
not. Just try
Right.
not to do it, and it will lessen and lessen and lessen. He said it's going to be really hard though because you're going to have such anxiety from not
Right.
doing it.
Yeah,
So
because that's what OCD is. It's a way to manage anxiety. It's magical thinking that if you do those things, you can make these things not happen. And the problem is when they don't happen, instead of saying, well, they weren't going to happen anyway, your brain tells you you did that. You made that not occur or made it occur if it was, something that you wanted to have happen. But
right,
you didn't. It's just your thoughts and your anxiety telling you that you can make this better by turning on and off the lights 7 times
right,
and praying all night. But
yeah,
it's not accurate. And so, like what your psychiatrist was having you do was recognizing that not doing those things, it did not create the horrible thing that you thought it was going to create. That you didn't have to do those things in order for people to be safe. And that you
right.
really didn't have any control over that. So yeah, that was good. That was good
But
advice from
it
him.
was it was very very difficult to do that because
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
it created such anxiety. But he
Right.
said, the sooner you start not doing it, he said, the sooner it'll just start to calm down and it will.
Yeah.
He said you'll never be rid of it. You'll never
Yeah.
be rid of it. But he said you have to just not feed the beast. That was good advice. Second
Yeah.
good advice was I had a vision that my mother was killed in an automobile accident. You know,
Was that wishful thinking? I'm sorry.
he said, and
That wasn't very nice.
he was from Iran, and he said, Dr.
Yeah.
Hussein, and he said, it's okay to wish your mother dead. He goes, from what you tell me, she's not very, not very,
Not very nice.
not very nice. So he said, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. You can't make that happen. He said,
Right.
you know, there's no power in these visions, and you have to just realize they're just sort of hallucinations or visions that you get.
Yeah.
He said that, have nothing to do with reality.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so that helped a lot, and it did. My mother
Good.
did go to every appointment with me, and he would talk to her afterwards, and that helped me too because it kind of made her understand because she was still of the whole that
Just
old
just
school. Like,
try
oh,
harder.
you're just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just
You're just
crazy.
not trying hard enough. You
Yeah,
just don't
you're not
believe hard enough, whatever it is.
right.
Yeah.
You should be able to control this yourself, and and it made. I think he helped her understand what was going on with me. So I went to him for about 2 years, and had a lot of support from my mom and a lot of support
Good.
from a teacher that I had at St. Joseph's, who was a lay teacher, and she lived in between Columbia and Jeff City.
Yeah.
So she would commute every day into Jeff City from where she lived, but they lived in a trailer park, and so there were some
Mm.
nights where she would pick me up,
Oh, that's
and
nice.
then
Yeah.
I would just spend the night and go to school the next day. She would just because she had to drive in anyway, so she would just take
Yeah.
me to school.
I
So it
take
wasn't
you. Take
hard on
you.
my mother. So and then it it so for 2 years, and it did dissipate. I wasn't doing all of that anymore. I was not flicking the lights on and off and
Right.
touching the wall. I had to touch the wall 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if I did
Yeah.
six, I would like, oh no, the devil's going to come. Oh no, no. So uh, I got past that a little bit, and then the stomach problems continued, so that I was hospitalized in eighth grade
Mm.
for about 4 days. They ran all these tests to see what was going on with my stomach, and I was put on that a special diet of mushy food, and I got to go at Simonson. I got to go with the special ed kids to
Oh.
have a snack in the
Oh, that's nice.
afternoon. That was part of it. So I
Yeah.
got to go have a snack. I guess kids with diabetes and junior
Yeah.
diabetes
Oh, yeah.
got there too. It wasn't just special ed. But so I
Right.
got a little snack because the point was
Yeah.
to keep my
Nice.
stomach
Full.
not full, but have
But with
something in my stomach
yeah.
so it wouldn't
That's good.
contract upon itself.
Right.
It was really, really bad. And then, you know, I got better. My mother did the diet. It was actually really, it
Good.
helped a lot.
Good.
Then I would have these headaches, like in high school. I had really, really bad headaches all the time. And a lot of
Yeah.
it was sinus. Part of it was my parents smoked and a
Doesn't
lot.
help.
And that was
Yeah.
part of it. But, and then junior year, um, I guess junior or sophomore year, I took all these pills that my mother had because I just didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want to kill myself, but I just didn't
Mhm.
want to live.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't want.
No, a lot of
I,
times that's what happens with kids who they don't really want to die. They just don't want to be in pain anymore.
yeah,
So that makes sense.
that was it. That was it. And I think I talked about this before. My mother just let me sleep it off, so I stayed home from school for like 2 or 3 days. You
Yeah.
know, and she never said anything. But she knew that I was all drugged up because I took her tranquilizer.
Did she put her drugs somewhere where you couldn't get to them after that, I would hope?
Oh no, no.
No, of course.
I always knew where they were. I always knew where they were.
Yeah.
I
You
think
would maybe if you were my kid at that time, I would have put them somewhere or even if you knew where they were, you wouldn't have been able to get to them. Like the trunk of my
well, they
car
weren't.
or something like that.
I
Yeah.
knew where they were
Yeah.
um, because it wasn't that big of a house. So she
Right.
used to put
Right.
them.
Was not that many
She
places.
put them behind the Tupperware with candy in it, in the shelf
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
right by the sink, and she would put them back there. And then she put some behind the toilet paper in my father's bathroom.
Uh,
So
so she was trying to keep them
the
kind of hidden
cabinet, the
away.
cabinet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But you were too smart.
well, I think she was also hiding them from my father. I told her the
Oh,
story of when she had a stroke, and I talked to my father, and he said, we were talking about everything she has to do, and it wasn't that bad of a stroke. She just lost her speech. She could still
yeah.
walk and everything. So um, he said, I can't, I don't know where, like what medication she's on or whatever. And I said, oh, she's on all kinds of medication. He said,
Yeah.
because they
And he
said,
didn't know.
yeah, because they said that contributed to the stroke. It had to be. So I said, well, if they're still there, and I told him those places, and he called me back and he found all of them. And he goes,
Wow.
they're all different doctors. I said, I know, because you
Yeah.
have crazy good insurance.
Right. And so
So
she
she,
doctor hopped to get
right,
medication from different
right.
doctors.
So one
Yeah.
doctor, would say, no,
Yep.
I'm not going to give you something. So she just go to another one and another one and another one. So
Until she got what she wanted.
I think she
Yep.
had 4 or 5 doctors. I'm not really sure. And back then there was no um, connectivity. There was no,
Right.
they
They're
didn't
still
have
really
any.
not, but I understand. Yeah. But at least they
But this,
can look up there's ways to
yeah,
look that up, but it's still not
yeah.
as connected
Well,
as it should.
they can look and see what your medication is at the pharmacy and stuff. If you
Right.
go to a
Right. Right.
different pharmacy, I don't think they can see that. But
Right.
um, at least they have that. So back then they
Yeah.
had nothing. It was up to the doctor to remember, if
Right.
they were allergic to something, or if they had already given that type of medication, so they
Right.
wouldn't
Tried
prescribe,
something the same thing
something. Yeah, yeah, or something that would interact with something.
with something
But
else. But they
yeah,
wouldn't have
because
been able to know that if she was getting meds from different doctors all over the place.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then he called me a couple of days later, and he said, well, I just brought it all into the doctor. And he goes, oh, she can't talk, but she was mad.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah. How dare you take my meds? How dare you
Yeah.
take my
Well,
things that you
how dare you know
yeah.
my secret? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. Well,
So,
my guess is that whether or not they admitted it, that there was anxiety and depression and stuff running through the family all over the place, and
yeah.
probably in your mom. I mean, I'm sure that's what was going on.
My
And
dad, my dad slept a lot, a
yeah,
lot. And his whole family, his mother slept a lot. and his
Yeah.
siblings sleep a lot. I really think it's depression.
Depression. Yeah. Very much
I
could
really
be.
think it's depression. I think that he would come home and he would just kind of pass out. He would take a
Right.
little nap. He would come home every day. I mean, he had a really accommodating job in that
Yeah.
uh, he could come home, take a nap, and then eat lunch and go back.
Wow.
So he'd take like a half-hour nap every day, and then he'd eat
Yeah.
lunch that my mother prepared, and then he would go back to work. And
And
on the
then you come home
weekend,
and sleep some more. Yeah.
yeah, and on the weekends he just slept. He would
Yeah.
sleep. I couldn't bring anybody into the house like in the summer because he would be sleeping in the front window, in his
Yeah.
recliner, in boxers.
Nice. So everybody could
Yeah,
see.
yeah,
Nice.
everybody could see it. Everybody could see it, but he would get really upset if we brought someone in the house, and I didn't want to bring anybody in the house with, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was
Yeah.
summer, so yeah.
Yeah.
So I still have OCD. It doesn't ever go away. I catch
Right.
myself like just arranging silverware. I mean, we eat on our coffee table, but just
Yeah.
arranging silverware, it has to be like that,
They
like
have to
that.
match up. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I see something that's not symmetrical
It
or
drives you nuts.
fitting, it
Yeah.
makes me a little crazy. But I
Yeah.
tell myself, no, just let it go. It's not
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
do anything. It's not going to change
It's
anything that's
not.
going to happen. It's not going to have
Yeah.
any
You just have to
effect.
remind yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
But it reminds me that I'm still there. And I'm thinking that it's part of being bipolar too,
It could be.
because I get really like manic sometimes.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and this is something
I
I'm
can
going
see
to
that.
discuss. I get really manic, and when I get really manic, I get really like everything has to be done a certain way, and I want to get it done now, and I'm really clicking, and it makes me kind of high to be really
Yeah.
doing everything
Yeah.
efficiently and really fast, and that's part of OCD too,
Right.
because I'm
Right.
accomplishing this goal, so it makes me feel like
Yeah.
I'm going to be all right, and I think that the OCD is part of that, is part of
Yeah.
bipolar. I may be
Could very
wrong,
well
but
be.
I think that probably a lot of people
No,
with those.
I think there's a lot of overlap in a lot of the psychiatric diagnoses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
I'm hoping. I hope for you that this appointment makes a big difference in how you
yeah,
feel.
I need something because the medication I'm on right now isn't really helping with the anxiety. I still have the anxiety and
Yeah.
the feeling of not wanting to go out, not wanting to participate in life.
Yeah.
I don't want to have anything to do with people. So I try to restrict uh, having any contact.
Socializing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go to the gym and I see a few people I know. I'll talk to them a little bit, but I don't really, I get really manic. So I have realized that I talk a lot. So I'm trying to
Hmm.
not do that, to listen more. But when I talk a lot, it's really to impress people. It's really to get them on my side, to entertain
Yeah.
them. And it gets
Yeah.
to a point where my sarcastic remarks, retorts, become really mean.
Yeah.
And
I was
I
going to say
can
that's
hear
one of
my,
the things you have to watch for is it's funny. It's funny. I mean, I've never felt disrespected by you or anything like that. Just so you know, it's like it hasn't. I haven't like even been aware of that necessarily. But
right.
I think for a lot of people, like being able to make like fast retorts. I mean, you're really smart, Buck, and so you have the ability to think really fast and to come up with funny things and to say things that are funny, but they also can be hurtful if you're not
Kind of,
careful.
yeah.
I could see that.
And I
Yeah.
don't know when to stop. And I think that's
Yeah.
mania. I think that's
Yeah.
the
That's
mania because
yeah. Yeah.
I get
Could very well be.
quickening and
Right.
we're going back and forth. We're
You're
doing this
you're
banter, and then I'll say
yeah.
something that I thought it was funny, but it actually hurts them. So
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
told that I do that. And so I'm really trying to kind of take a break from people and try to really listen. I'm a better listener now. I
Yeah.
think because I'm not really around people. So I listen to Mario,
Hmm.
and I listen to people that I do have uh, time
Contact with.
with, I spend time with. Yeah, I try to listen more, and I try to stop myself from talking.
Yeah.
I had an audition for a student film. I told you, and so I didn't get it. I didn't get a student film. That's why.
Sorry.
But I think it's because I ran my mouth afterwards. I was telling them about the
Could be.
experience I had with Concordia University and the students there doing
Yeah.
films. And this is early on in my career here. And I was telling them about a guy who was a director that wasn't a very good director, and everybody else was directing. And so it was just a mess because there was no leader, you
Yeah.
know? There was no leader.
Yeah.
The director is the leader. So,
Right. It's supposed to be.
you really have to, and he has to have a really good support crew, but they were just taking over and they were trying different things. And
Yeah.
what they don't realize
Without
is
him being
that, it,
aware.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it wastes the actor's time and it wastes other
Right.
people's time.
Right.
And in a union situation, which is what they're trying to get eventually is to be union, you can't do
Hmm.
that. You'll get fined.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll get
I
fined,
mean,
and actors can just walk off the set, which is what I did at one point when it was like almost 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was
yeah.
like, I said, you've been playing with this camera track for like 2 hours. I said,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work because there isn't enough room. He goes, I know,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what to do. I said, you should have measured. Get a
Right.
measuring tape and you should have
And
measured.
measure it. Yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't do that. So anyway, I told the people last week about that and stuff like that, and I said, and I just
Yeah.
walked off. And then I walked out. I said,
Yeah.
why did I tell that story?
Right.
Partly because I don't want to deal with really unprofessional kids.
Yeah.
I
No,
want them
makes
to
sense.
understand that they have to strive to be union,
Right.
to work under union
To do
rules.
what the rules are. Right.
That's part
Yeah.
of their
Yeah.
education. But I
Right.
realized that, why didn't I just shut up? Why didn't I just, maybe
I
it's because
know.
I hadn't talked to somebody for a long time, but why didn't I just shut it off,
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm
and
learning.
that's part of anxiety too. Yeah.
Yeah,
But your anxiety probably told you you needed to do that at some point.
yeah,
So that's anxiety is almost like the way I think about it is like it's almost like this. It's like in the commercials where there's a little being that no one else can see, but they're on your shoulder, like telling you things
right.
or whatever. So it's
Yeah,
not like when a kid is really anxious and they won't come into my office because they're too scared to leave their parents, and we kind of have to peel them off of their parents. I'm always like, I'm not peeling the kid off of you. I'm peeling their anxiety off of you, and then
right.
and then they're okay. I mean, it's like the kids who are like so horribly don't want to stay at school and complain about being away from home or whatever it is. And once they get in the class, then they're fine,
Right.
9 times out of 10. But
Yeah.
it's just the anxiety is like this little weird creature that just sort of exists on you and you can't get rid of it, you
And
know?
it stops me from doing things that I need to really
Right.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So anyway, that's my OCD story, and it's
Okay.
something I still deal with, but it's not as
It's
prevalent
not,
today as it was
yeah,
back then. And back then, this is old school. You
yeah.
didn't go to a psychiatrist. You didn't have mental problems. You
Right,
didn't,
right.
So that was a big breakthrough just to get my parents to get me there,
Get you some
and
help.
pay
Yeah, no
for it
kidding.
and let me keep going and poo poo things, and that was a big thing. And like I said,
That's
it
big.
was so long ago there was no psychiatrists or therapists in
Not,
just
not, yeah, it wasn't just like the norm. Yeah.
yeah.
I think my dad was kind of instrumental in getting Pathways. It's called Pathways now, is the community mental health in
Oh,
Jeff
nice,
City. So now they have
nice.
community mental health, which, of course they should at this point in time. It would be
Yeah,
goofy if they didn't. So, yeah. So the services are a lot more accessible now than they were in the past. And especially now, like you can do online. You don't even have to go anywhere to
yeah,
get therapy.
I know.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's a great thing too, is to be able to do
it is.
online. You don't have to
Yeah. It was
travel.
one of those things that came out of the pandemic that was a good thing. I mean,
Yeah,
it's hard for me because as a play therapist, I know that there are people who are working on trying to be able to do play therapy virtually like this, but it's so hard. So,
Right.
so I still have an office and still see people, but it's just hard
Right.
sometimes.
All
Yeah.
right. Well,
Good.
that is the topic for the week is OCD,
Okay.
and I'm glad that you tuned in and keep tuning in, and we'll have something for you
We'll be
next
back.
week. I'm Buck. I'm
You
saying
bet.
goodbye, and
Okay.
Amy.
Bye.